Hey everybody, welcome
Hello,
to
hello.
Sips and Spiders with, wait, this way, Sebastian
Oh,
and Solange.
we have to figure out,
Cheers.
yeah, who's on which side.
Yep,
Cheers.
cheers.
Yeah,
Here, should we try
thematic
to do
mug.
it this way? Cheers.
Oh yeah, wait, okay, wait. I'm
Other
your.
way.
Oh no, yeah, yeah, okay.
Cheers.
Ready? And oh my God, this is the delay
Awesome.
on this
There we go.
is okay. There we
Cheers.
go. Cheers.
Cling. We need a little sound effect there. Um, Welcome everybody. This is our
Third.
fourth, third. I think it's a third. It
It's
feels
a
like the
third.
fourth
The
for some
first one was
reason.
just we. The first one was not Sips and Spiders. It was
Oh,
just a bug scope visit. It was
right,
the
right, right.
third branded event.
Yes, the third Sips and Spiders branded event. Hello, David and Blue Velvet and David Howden as well. Good to see you guys. Doing well, thanks. How are you doing?
Thank you for joining us.
Make sure you have something to sip as we talk about spiders.
Yeah, this is our monthly time where we catch up about anything and everything spiders. We might also talk about other arachnids as they come up.
Exactly. Hi, Benny. How are you? Welcome to the broadcast today. And you guys are welcome to suggest topics as well. It's definitely like
Yeah,
a free forum discussion sort of situation. Um,
that was
just a
one thing
space.
that was great last time. We had a lot of really good questions.
Yeah, yeah. It's a space that we've created here on the internet to chat about spiders. So,
Yeah.
sipping spider juice.
You
Ooh,
know, I've heard a lot of accounts of spiders drinking like sugar water and in kept like sometimes like spilled juice.
mm,
So spiders could, in theory, drink the same juice as you,
yeah,
depending on what juice you like to drink. Because
yeah,
it's sugar water, so like they can still get some nutrients out of it. Anything that kind of falls in that category.
yeah, totally. Kind of like I think I shared it on one of the last sips and spiders. That photo that I took um,
Yeah,
of the yellow sac spider drinking some juice right from the blood orange on the countertop, which was pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Spiders will. I. This is one of the things that I like learned as I started doing more outreach and talking to people. Because I at first I thought that they really just ate like things that they'd hunt and like they can survive on that, but it's always impressive how animals will go out of their way to like get every last bit of like calorie or food that they can, right? Because especially when they're like in a human environment and like, oh, maybe that, our houses are so dry compared to like the outside world where they're used to getting like dew and stuff in the morning. So they really
Yeah.
got to make do with like whatever they can find.
Yep. Yeah. Um, Benny's saying every spider I try to hold always they repel from your hand. Is that normal?
Yes. That if you mean they jump from your hand and they're like hanging on a piece of silk, that is incredibly normal. That's a
Yeah.
spider being like, oh my God, a giant Godzilla sized being picked me up. I should leave now.
That happened to me just a couple of hours ago. There was a jumping spider on the floor in my kitchen, and I went to try to pick it up. And so I did the classic, like, surround it with your hands and make it
Yeah.
diamond or some sort of shape. So it has to walk in your hand to get
Yeah.
away. But what it did is it just went on my hand and immediately jumped off my hand to the other side. And so it took a couple minutes to finally catch it and bring it outside.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I've had a lot of cases where I'm catching a jumping spider, and like I get it like on my hand or it's like in a vial, but like I don't close it right away for whatever reason, or it like jumps off my hand, and then it'll jump and it'll start like sliding down, and I have to like I don't know if you do this, you have to like kind of ladder, you like pull the
Mm,
like silk up, but then
yeah.
sometimes they're like releasing the silk at the same rate that you're pulling it up, so the spider just kind of hovers in the air as you try to like get it back in.
Yeah. Yeah, in that case, sometimes I'll just try to scoop it so it doesn't use up
Yeah.
too much of its silk. And like then I'll be like,
That's a
"Here's
good
your
idea.
silk. Eat it up so you can save the energy." And sometimes it will if I can gather it up into a ball or something like that.
Oh wow. Like I've never actually seen a spider like I know they do it, but I've never actually seen
Yeah,
them like
liquidy.
eat their silk and like
Yeah,
yeah, re
I,
re I
I
guess
have
re-ingest
I
it.
have footage of it somewhere. I I record all sorts of little encounters, and I don't know if it was on my DSLR camera or on my phone, but somewhere in the archives backlog, I ought to dig it up because it was really cool to see. You could
Yeah, that
just
sounds awesome.
like liquefy and then like
Oh, you saw them
disappear.
like the digestive juices kind of melt it.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was really
that's cool.
interesting. Yeah. Um, Hi, everyone. Welcome to our broadcast today. If you are not familiar, my name is Isa Solange. And then here we have Sebastian here, who's a spider expert that completed his PhD last year in spiderology, or really it was like spider communication.
Yeah. Spiderology. Let's go with that.
Spiderology is fun to say. So you made it to the podcast. Two Scoops, you're here. So great to have you here, and Ronnie as well, and Meron, who's watching over on Twitter. Welcome, welcome. And I see earlier that David Dunn mentioned, "Oops, your Twitch title says caterpillars and nostalgia." Yeah, I have to change that to a more generic title because otherwise I have to change it every time.
Oh, on the Twitch
Separately
stream.
on Twitch, because the title of the broadcast on
Mm-hmm.
Twitch, that gets controlled by Haps, the platform that we're streaming from now, but the go live notification is not connected in Haps, so I have to go.
Oh, I see.
But I'll make it relevant for one moment and say that those caterpillars that I was talking about last week are now in their pupal form.
Ooh,
So they are no longer caterpillars, they're still insects, they're still moths, or I guess, or
moths to
Lepidoptera, but in
be.
their pupal form. They're metamorphosizing or
Oh,
changing right
cool.
here on the other side of the silk. So not just spiders make silk, but it has been a tool, I guess, or what would you call it? A thing, a tool, an
Adaptation.
adaptation
Yeah.
that has developed not just in spiders but in other organisms too, like insects.
Yeah, it's actually showed up like several times in insects, which I like really didn't realize. Like, for a while, I knew like, okay, yeah, silkworms. First of all, like when I was growing up, you call them silkworms. I didn't even know they were moths. But then like the other day, I saw a thing on like there's like a mole cricket that produces silk, and they all make it from like different parts of their
Wow.
body. It's super cool.
Yeah. Wow, that's very cool. Yeah, so for those of you who are not familiar, the silk from caterpillars comes from their mouth, where with spiders it comes from the back end where the spinnerets are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Maren's asking if I have a SpiderMan costume collection, and oh my gosh, I wish I have a Spider-Man T-shirt collection, and I have one like Spider-Man cosplay outfit, but it's not like the full spider suit. That is actually Issa. You have a spider suit
I
that
do.
you
Shall I
wore.
go put it on? I'll be right
Yeah.
back. Hold down the fort for a moment.
Oh,
Um,
you've got it right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'll,
Well, it's
I'll,
just
I'll cut.
another room, so I may as well throw it on since I'm not wearing anything spidery and you are at least.
I
So
always
I
gotta
will
wear
go
something
change that.
spidery.
So cheers, everybody. I'm making Sebastian big for a moment.
Oh, I am big now. All right, now I gotta fill air. Okay. Blue Velvet. What spider has the strongest web? There's a couple of spiders. I think the current world record holder is I think it's called Darwin's Orb Weaver. And it's a spider that I believe it's in Australia, but it could be somewhere else in like Oceania region. And they build these huge webs with one particular piece of silk that spans like really, really far, and that is the strongest that we know of uh, web. And the thing is, different spiders or one spider can make different silks of different strengths. So they can adjust it for like different purposes. So even if you have the spider with the strongest web, some of its silk will not be as strong. Okay, there we go.
Here's my spider outfit. So
See, I need to get me one of those.
I'll send you the link. Then we can be twinsies. Next, Sips and Sebastian
Oh, that'd
prevent
be
or
great. Oh, and
spiders.
that one's got like a biologically accurate spider design.
Oh yeah, you were tweeting about that
Yeah.
today a little bit.
I was I guess what we could talk about since we're on Spider-Man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember how it came up, but I was looking at oh no, people were talking about like how once you know like what an animal looks like when you see like representations of it, you're like super aware of like whenever it's like slightly inaccurate.
Yeah, totally.
Um and I was like, well, the one that hits for me is like Spider-Man because I don't know if any of y'all have seen like the original Spider-Man logo, like the one from 1962. It
Mm.
is not a drawing of a spider at all. Actually, I can I
Let's see it.
yeah, let me upload that image. I'll pull it up from Twitter, but it looks like a beetle. And it took them like 10 years to get something that like is a reasonable drawing of a spider.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I'm curious to see. I saw it in passing, so I'm excited to bring it back up. Just
oh, I'm not here to ruin Spider-Man for I love Spider-Man. I'm just saying some of the later logos are better than some of the original ones. At least in terms of looking like a spider. That's the, you know,
Mhm.
for me, that's that. Okay, yeah, I got it. Let's see. Um,
Yeah.
that.
David brought up a cool question too, which we'll address after we talk about the Spider-Man logo.
Okay, let's
Benny's
see.
asking, why didn't you wear that at ANS, the museum? Um,
You did the last time I was there.
why? Oh, was it Bugfest or something? I don't remember. Or
Yeah,
maybe
it
it
was
was just
Bugfest. You had that, and
around Halloween, maybe too.
we had our spider table.
Right. Yeah. Good times.
Okay, I've uploaded the image, but I'm gonna need your tech abilities to get it to show.
Okay.
Because
I
every
have
time I
it
try to do it on
on
the back end of
now.
Haps, it becomes a sad event.
Here we go.
Mm. Okay, yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. These are a bunch of Spider-Man logos that it's created by Ricky Franklin Design. They're on Twitter. They made this poster a while ago, and it's what I go to look at my Spider-Man logos. If we can we zoom in on this? Can we like
No. Maybe is there some way you can screenshot it so we can
I
update it
yes
all
I
over
can.
again?
I can yeah, I'll screenshot like the top row because those are the
That's
worst.
right, Ronnie. Ronnie's saying you, y'all could literally climb up the walls. I wish. I wish. It is one topic that I'd be interested in exploring is how the feet of arboreal tarantulas or any
Ooh,
arboreal spider are
yeah.
different from the non-arboreal ones. I was admiring Fluffy's feet the other day and thinking about that.
Yeah, I think both of my arboreals are hiding right now, but yeah, they've got these really wide, flat feet pads. But yeah, okay, so here, these are now we're back to Spider-Man logos.
One moment, moving things around. Hi, Pablo. How's it
Yes.
going?
Okay, so here on the left,
Ooh,
we've got the original Spider-Man logo from
that's the
1962.
typical first baby's first spider drawing.
Yeah. So this is what happens. This is like the sort of thing that I see and like I have to like control myself. Because it's like it's we I've saw it a lot in like cartoons and stuff too, like of not even just Spider-Man, but it's like you got 8 legs, they got that part right, but the legs are attached to the abdomen and not the head.
Hmm.
And if you look at any spider, at a photo of a spider or any reference picture, all their legs are attached to their head, and it's surprising for how many things like use spiders as a symbol. Like you could just Google spider. You could just Google picture of spider. Um and but it like it doesn't so to me I see that I'm like that's like the weird beetle.
Here,
It's
I'm
just a
bringing up a photo for comparison so people
yeah,
can see
thank
how
you.
the legs are attached to the front body part
Mhm.
or the cephalothorax or the carapace. Different. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, so
cephalothorax or head. So lots of different terms for it that you might hear.
yeah. Thanks for the award, Pablo. Yes.
Oh, thank you, Pablo.
Cheers. Woo.
But
Um,
yeah, you can see the as the years go on, they like are editing the design with like new issues of Spider-Man and stuff. 1966, like half of the legs are on the head and half of the legs are like on the abdomen. And then in 1967, they lose a pair of legs, so now it just looks like an ant, like a weird
Oh,
ant.
6 legs?
It's a
How'd that
six-legged
happen?
spider. I'm
Freak
actually,
accident.
yeah, it's I have a little like Spider-Man pin, but I just realized like the other day, it's a little like pointing spider. It's one of my favorite things. They're like little enamel pins, but like if you look at Spider-Man here, he's got 6 legs on his little
Ooh.
logo.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
like an
Oh, no.
official thing from Marvel, and it's like, all right,
Um, Thank goodness the shirt that I'm wearing has the proper
you've
amount of
got the
legs.
yeah, you've got one of the nice ones.
Yeah.
Maybe we can.
I,
Let's see. I'm gonna see if I can find that logo on this.
which
Uh,
logo? Oh,
the
the
one
one
that
that
you've got on
I'm
your.
wearing? Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's all 4 legs down,
the
right?
19. Yeah, it's all four legs, and they are on the right part of the
They
body.
all go and they kind of go out and they all like bend down.
Yeah, which I guess bending down is a little funny, but it's
It
there are
depends
some
on the perspective, I guess. I actually don't see one here that like matches that exactly.
really interesting. Here, I'll bring this up
Um,
so everyone else can see too for one
yeah,
moment.
this is probably not comprehensive, because there's been a lot of Spider-Man designs.
Yeah,
Um,
it was like, but are these all the official ones on this poster here, or were
these
there?
are all official, but I don't think
Okay,
they're all of the official ones. This is not made
okay,
by Marvel. This is made by like an artist who compiled it and like made it into a poster.
okay.
I guess like he redrew it or something.
Yeah, it took me a lot to dig around to find this shirt. Like, I was surprised that there weren't more official like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
For
Oh,
a moment.
oh,
Um,
you're back. Okay.
okay. I was like so surprised that there weren't more options for Spider-Man
Mm-hmm.
costumes. I bought one of the things off of Amazon that was like a full body sort of Halloween costume,
Yeah.
and I returned it because it was really poor quality. Like the arms were like different lengths and
Uh,
sizes, and it was just so
yeah, that's really
so.
unfortunate.
I returned it, and this shirt though is great. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
like I've seen it in person. It's like quite nice. Like the material kind of looks like the material of like the suits in the movies.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
It's
I've
like
always wanted
legging
to get
material.
one. Yeah, it's like the kind of like stretchy
Hmm.
neoprene kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's only until 1973 where you get something that is a spider that like I would recognize as a spider. Um, and I really, yeah, I agree, Rachel, that they need a spider science consultant. Though
Yeah.
actually, they did for the
There we go. That's a good view.
there. I just recently saw this a reference to this somewhere, but I think who was it? Was it Eileen Hebetz and like maybe Linda Rayer, who were consultants for like the Raimi movies?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
I saw someone one of them post it that they were mentioning that like they consulted on Spider-Man movie. I was like, whoa, that's the first time I heard about it.
Yeah.
But I agree they should call me anytime, and I'm happy to help them design Spider-Man logos or
Do you
Spider-Man
have
covers.
Do you have that on your website? So when people look
Oh,
these things
I
up,
should. I'm putting
yeah,
that up there now.
make a whole page that's like check your spider design, maybe, or art. Make sure it's like, for example, I think I told you, I think I mentioned it here before, how one of the like, I think they were animatronic, I forget. There was some
Hmm.
like large giant spider that came to the museum as part of like a larger than life
Yeah.
insect arachnid display. And one of the spiders had its eyes in the wrong spot on its body, and I was like, how on earth did someone put the eyes on the back
Where
of
were they?
the they were like on the back of the
Oh,
cephalothorax,
like on the top?
like on the top, but like way back near the abdomen. And I don't know. And then I looked at a picture.
Maybe they're like they were modeling it off a scorpion.
No, I figured it out. There was a picture of this type of spider. I don't
Hmm.
know if it was a golden orb weaver or something else, but and in the photo, there were just kind of divots on its abdomen that were darker. And so
Oh,
the designer thought that those divots on the thorax, on that cephalothorax, were the eyes. And
oh
I'm like,
boy.
no, those are not the eyes. It's like a very
Yeah.
simple. This is why it's important to check with an expert, because
Yeah.
you just take one look at it and it's like, oh, those goes there. Those go
Yep.
there. End of story, the end. Like
I had a similar
less than
thing
10
happen.
seconds.
Yeah, no, I was looking at for a project that I've been working on, like a freelance science communication thing. That I
Hmm.
was working with some animators, and they were animating a jumping spider, and it was a beautiful animation. Like there was lots of like detail on the palps and the legs, and like all the patterns were there.
Uh-huh.
But the legs were just like shifted all the way back onto the abdomen. And
Ooh.
like I know they looked at reference pictures to like
Yeah.
the like because the coloration and the pattern was so realistic, they
Yeah.
had to be looking at reference pictures.
Yeah.
Um, but because a lot of us, I think, grew up with like seeing a cartoon spider that looks like Spider-Man 1962 logo,
Yeah.
if you're not conscious about it, that like bias comes in, right? And people are just like, oh, that's where the legs go. And so that was an awkward thing of being like, hey, this is beautiful, but also there's some changes that need to happen before anyone sees it.
Yeah. And it makes sense that this would end up happening, because when you think about it, it's like, why would the legs come from where the head is? That sounds really
Yeah,
strange. But
yeah,
yeah, it's more than just the head up there. It's like all the muscles. And
yeah. Spiders' heads are really weird. They're
I'll go
like,
back to this picture so people can see again
yeah,
what we're talking about here. Um, so
yeah. Yeah,
it's like,
spiders' heads like at the bottom. The thing is also they come out of the bottom of the head, which is like not the side, so you don't really see the attachment points unless you get a chance to flip over a spider. And
yeah.
then it's pretty obvious. You can see them really clearly. Um, but it's not something like unless you get them up close that you'll notice. I never like thought about it ever until I started studying spiders. And if I had to draw a spider without reference, I might have drawn it wrong if as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. The more I think about this, even right now, like the weirder it does seem, even though I've known for a long time how the, where the legs come out. It is weird to think, like, I guess I'm thinking about it for myself. Like, what if humans had legs
Yeah,
coming out
yeah,
of their head? Like, you can't help but think about those things. But,
yeah.
or it makes me think about how it's organized inside, which haven't taken a look at internal structures and all
It's
of that in
pretty
spiders recently.
weird.
But
It's like because like it's but depending on the spider, like I know for jumping spiders in particular, it's really weird
yeah.
because it's like every single possible spare piece of space is filled with brain,
Hmm.
and it's like their brains are just like filling everything up, and then there's just like little spaces for like the legs to sock it in and like muscles and stuff, and then like the tube for the esophagus to go into the abdomen. But it's just
Uh-huh.
like brain. We got to fit all the brain in here.
Yeah.
Um,
There must be a bunch of muscle in there too for the legs, right?
yeah, the attachments
Okay.
on the inside, I'm guess like
Wow.
where they junction in, but
Yeah, and
it's
I guess, and it's really different from, like, with insects. They have the ganglia brain system that goes all the way down to
mhm,
their thorax that
yeah,
help, and the ones in the thorax help with moving the legs. And so I guess all of the, I mean, spiders are very different from insects, but like
yeah,
all of that for the legs and the eyes and the eating and everything is all in that cephalothorax. Is
yeah.
that what
It's
you
all.
usually call it, or do you call it the carapace
I
or the?
usually call it the head or the
Oh, it's the head.
cephalothorax.
Okay. Cool.
Um, just head is easiest for
Sure.
day to day. Yeah, carapace. I mean, like, I get it, but for me, a carapace sounds like it's just like the top part, so I never call
Yeah,
it that.
I agree with that.
Do the first time that I heard opistosoma, which is the fanciest word.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, prosoma. Sorry, opistosoma is
Oh,
abdomen.
prosoma.
Prosoma, yeah, the forward part of the body. I'm like, all right, you don't gotta be fancy like that. You can just call it the head.
Yeah,
Gets the idea across.
yeah, yeah. Because also carapace, I mean, I just looked it up in the dictionary on my computer, and it comes up by saying the hard upper shell of a turtle,
Yeah,
crustacean, or arachnid, which is probably partially
that's what.
related to
That's the
the turtle
connotation I
thing.
have in my head.
Yeah. Um, yeah.
I
Uh,
remember there was one time. This is the most okay. I don't think this student or kid out there has any chance of saying this, but if you are
okay.
out there, I'm sorry. So there was one time we did an outreach event with a bunch of kids from a local Pittsburgh school, and they went out, they observed a bunch of animals, and then they were drawing them to make like this mural. They were working with an artist, and the artist was taking their drawings to make like a repeated tiling pattern that would become this giant mural. And like one of the kids drew a spider, and I was so excited. I'm like, yes, he drew like a wolf spider. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And then the artist showed it to me at the end, and of course the legs were attached to the abdomen. And it was like otherwise nice. Like the leg pattern was good and everything was really nice. And then they were just like, it's okay, I'll just
So,
move the legs. And like they
yeah.
digitally moved the legs up to the head.
Nice.
um so
So
because I
close.
always feel bad, like, saying it, like, to being to a kid, being like, no, you did it wrong, because I mean, they're just having fun, they're trying to spider, but
Yeah, they chose to draw that spider, so
yeah,
that's the good
exactly.
thing itself. Yeah. That's
But
convenient
we
that the
had to
kids
make
know.
sure that the actual one was an actual spider that went up on the wall. 'Cause
Yeah.
otherwise,
Nice. Good save. We have some comments and questions coming
mm,
in, like some comments from Ronnie saying Spider-Man Multiverse was a well thought out game, just an incredibly hard game. And then also, we do need a Spider Woman in the next movie.
I
I will
agree.
get that. Yeah.
I
Thank
I'm
you.
waiting for the sequel to Into the Spider Verse that has more of Spider Gwen and other cool spider people.
Nice. I do need to watch that still.
You
My
haven't seen
Sips
the
and
you haven't seen it?
This is my Sips and Sebastian homework.
Oh my
Or
gosh.
Sips, right? Sips and
Okay.
Spiders
Okay,
and
everyone
Sebastian
on the
homework.
internet,
Yes.
tell Issa to watch Into the Spider-Verse.
And if you guys
Everyone.
haven't seen it, you watch it too. And then next time we can talk about it, maybe. It's so
It's
good.
so good. It's like
Where
legit really good. Not
okay.
just from Spider-Man, but also from like the animation is like, oh my god, it's beautiful.
Okay.
See,
Wow.
you
Two
got people
scoops.
from Haps being like, Issa, you gotta watch this. Thank you, Pablo.
Yes, sir. And Two Scoop says I've seen it like 30 times. Wow. It must be good.
Okay, next month we'll look at the well, you watch it, we'll talk about it, and like we'll look at the they have a few like images of spiders in the movie. I'll try to screen cap them, and we can like look at them and see how they, if they're like close to any real life spiders.
That sounds good. Yeah. David also, his homework as well is to watch it since he hasn't
Yeah.
seen it.
Yeah,
What is
anyone who's watching this stream, if you haven't seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, like wait until the stream is over, like stay here for like the next
hanging out with
30 minutes,
us?
but then immediately go watch the movie. You will not regret it. Even if you've seen it already. It's just that good. Just go watch it.
Yeah. Um, yeah. All right. I will. Where is it? On like Netflix or Disney Plus? Is it
It
Disney?
was on Netflix for a while.
Okay.
I don't know if it's still on there.
All right.
But
Well,
it'll definitely be streaming somewhere.
cool. Up here we have Blue Velvet asking what's the spider that makes a pit in the sand and insects fall in and the spider is waiting at the bottom. There are antlion pits
Yeah, that's what I'm
like
thinking.
that. They're conical formations in the sand, and at the very bottom there's the jaws of the antlion just waiting to snap whatever might fall in, usually ants. There is that spider that I've seen videos of that
Yeah,
buries
the sand
itself in the
spider.
sand.
Yeah, the six-eyed sand spider.
The six-eyed sand spider. Yeah, that one
Um,
sounds really
they don't make a pit. They just like completely like just cover themselves in like loose sand. And if anything is just like walking near them, they'll spring out and get it. Um, There was a few years ago an issue of Journal of Arachnology that had a bunch of cool stuff about sand adaptations and spiders. But I don't know if any that make a pit. There was a lot about like how they make like basically like sand castles. Like they take these like really fine grains of sand and use silk to like build like tunnels and turrets. Like if you
Ooh,
ever make like a sand castle out of dry sand, that's what like spiders in the desert have to do when they're making like structures underground, and some of them even stick up above ground.
wow,
So it's
interesting.
about that. It was really cool, but I don't know of any that make a sand pit.
Hmm.
That'd be a really cool if there was like a trapdoor spider that did that. That'd be awesome, actually. If it like made a funnel to its trap. Um, but I don't know of any that do that.
Yeah. Um, what's it called?
But
Oh,
then again,
oh,
there's
Blue
every time
Velvet
I
said.
think, oh, go ahead.
Blue Velvet said that's what it is. It's the
Oh, it's
antlion
Antlion.
that they were thinking of. First on the
Yeah,
scene award. First on the scene to talk about whatever you want to talk about with spiders. Woo! Thanks for that award.
awesome.
Um,
Thank you.
and hello, Star Being. Welcome. Thanks for the big hello. Yeah, and I'm here. We're here joined by my favorite spider person, Sebastian. So great to have him on this regular program. For anyone not familiar, about 3 months ago, Sebastian and I started Sips and Spiders with Sebastian and Solange, and that's what you're tuning into now. Happens once monthly. And uh, so yeah, this is the third time and fourth and on and on. There's a question a little bit while back from David Howden that I wanted to bring back up because it was a
Oh,
very
cool.
fun
Yeah.
question asking where'd it go? Here it is. I'll put it on the screen since it's from a while back so people can
Yeah, we
see.
can probably move the Spider-Man logos off
Okay,
because they're so we're not like becoming too tiny.
sure. Okay, so the question is, do you know if other organisms that make use of this, do you know if other organisms make use of the spider silk? I know we have a bird, a long-tailed tit, that collects spider silk to bind lichen and make its nest. Any others?
I know of other birds. The cutest one is if you've ever seen there's some hummingbirds that build their nests out of spider silk, and it is the cutest thing because they're these tiny, tiny, tiny little cups, and they're like you can see the texture of the silk like wrapped around, so it's like this like white, creamy thing. And they use that because it's a really strong material. It's also what's a antibacterial or antimicrobial. Like it's this really nice material to build stuff out of that you can get for free if you just go harass some spider webs.
You're saying that the spider silk is antimicrobial?
Yeah, there's
Very
been
cool.
I mean I've heard that a lot in terms of like the silk that especially that they use to like wrap egg cases or like build in their burrows. It just keeps
Mm,
things
clean.
from growing as much. Now that might just be because it doesn't provide like as much of a surface for microbes to grow.
Uh,
Um, it's a thing that I've heard a lot. I haven't like investigated it or like looked up the research.
Interesting. It makes me
Yeah.
also wonder too about like how like I'm curious about the water interactions with spider silk too.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm sure there's a bunch about that. I mean, they get rained on, and um,
I
yeah.
mean, there's a lot of really cool spiders, especially the water adjacent spiders that do cool stuff with their silk. Like I saw, gosh, I'm trying to think of what context I saw it, but I saw there was this paper about spiders adjusting how they build their webs in different habitats. And it was this
Oh yeah.
spider that like lived near the water, and they would build like one line of silk that would go across, like so here's the surface of the water, and it'd be a line of silk like this, and then they'd have like drop down lines touching the water, and it would like and then be like a little glob of glue at the water like attached to the water via surface tension um to like catch insects, I guess, that were like at the water surface, which is like crazy cool. But like that silk must be water resistant or else it would like start breaking down over time from like being that close to water. um so yeah, I like,
Um,
at least based on what I've seen, a lot of spider silk is like, the water kind of rolls off of it. If you've ever
yeah.
like, I'm sure if you're like you're watering one of your tarantulas and like there's some water gets
Yeah,
on their web.
that's true. Yeah. Yeah, because they will have the bottom of the web kind of soaked up, and
Yeah.
sometimes, especially with the one right back here, like the water will just kind of sit a little bit, like beat it up on top of the silk. Yeah. Um, I wonder if the video the literature that you're talking about, sorry, something in my throat, um, was like we had, do you know Darko Katoras? He's a
Not by
Chilean,
name, but I also have trouble remembering names.
that's okay, yeah. He's a Chilean arachnologist, and he did a study where he looked at a spider of the same species and how it changed webs from like being near the water and then being away from the water
Oh, that
on
that
an island off the
sounds like it
coast.
was
Yeah,
like
I
it
had him on the
was.
bug scope like a month or so
Oh,
ago.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Um, Maybe we can bring him on Sips and Spiders sometimes to chat.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, his work is really fascinating with evolution and plasticity, the ability. He basically took the spiders and moved them to different locations to
Hmm.
see if they changed the type of web that they made, and they did. Or some of them also went back to where they originally were, which sort of shows preferences, sort of like how humans have preferences of what we
Hmm.
want to eat for dinner, or what time we like to wake up in the morning, things like that. So I see that
Yeah.
you've uploaded another picture,
Oh
Sebastian.
yeah. Okay, so this is another. This is what I wanted to make sure we
Something
talked about. I
about?
told you about this earlier. So we're on the topic of like cool things spiders do with their silk, anyway. And
Uh-huh.
there was a research study that just came out, I think, or someone they just posted it. Like it might have just gone live earlier today, by Dr. Daniela Rosler and a few of her colleagues about this really cool thing that some jumping spiders apparently do, where they actually will sleep hanging
Hmm.
from a single line of silk at the bottom of a leaf. Um, which I had no idea that these animals are doing. My idea of a jumping spider is that it always goes to a little web tent and it sleeps in there. Um, but apparently some of them they just kind of noticed after like collecting some of them, and like, oh, we just need them for another project. We caught some, we brought them home, we put them in a little, our little like spider enclosure, and then they came back and like to check on them, and they were all hanging like on a single line, just like a teardrop, just like sitting there in the middle.
Like their own line, right?
Yeah,
Not
it's
all
their own silk
the same line.
line because there's no other spider and there's like their own. So they were like, okay, what's going on? And so they went out to the field to see if they could document it. And apparently, if you could pull up the other image that I
For
put
sure.
up,
I can find it.
this is something that these
Oh, here
spiders
it
might
is.
be doing. Yeah, okay.
One sec. Let me see if I can make it bigger.
Aha.
Here we go. We'll do this.
Yeah. So if you can see, there's just like a little thin piece of silk going straight up, and the spider's actually got its toe claws hooked around that piece of silk.
Oh
So it's
yeah.
feeling it. It's like holding on with one leg. And that apparently is what they do at night, when presumably they're sleeping, because jumping spiders really cannot see in the dark. So they're blind and they're not as active at night. Um, but that they think that they don't know for sure why this happens, but they think that it's a way to avoid predators, because ants and other stuff are just still wandering around at night. And if you're a jumping spider that lives in one of these areas, if you've got a little tent and you're just asleep in like, little like curled up leaf or something, and an
Imagine a
ant
cute little
comes,
spider sleeping peacefully in the middle of the night.
yeah, and then something comes and just munches you.
Yeah.
Um, so they've got this really cool adaptation that I had no idea
Wow.
that was
I
a
won-
thing that jumping spiders could do.
I wonder how widespread that is with the different jumping spiders.
Yeah, this was in an Ivarka. I'm trying to figure out where that Ivarka lives. Um, so Ivarka is a genus that includes the jumping spider species that like specializes on mosquitoes, but this was a different species of Ivarka. I'm looking at the paper right now.
Okay.
So this was it was in Germany. So this is apparently a common species in that region of Germany that the researchers are from. Um, but there are Evarca all across the world, and I'd be really curious to see. Um, I don't know if anyone, if you have little jumping spiders around, just see what they do at night.
I do have a couple of jumping spiders, but in captivity, I guess it would maybe not be different or it might be different. Depends on what the setup is, I
Yeah,
suppose.
they noticed it in captivity, but it might be actually. Oh, in the replies to the Twitter thread, do you know Erin Powell?
Uh,
She's in New Zealand, so she did a lot of work on opilionids.
okay.
But she posted a picture of a species from New Zealand doing the same thing and actually holding on in the same way.
Wow.
So there's at least two group, and it's a like unrelated genus. So it's at least a couple of jumping spiders have figured this out.
And
Um,
I can't help but wonder, like, what about bats or something?
yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know how high up they are, but yeah, like you
Yeah,
are
that's
exposed to
true.
like flying predators,
Yeah.
which is something I guess you have to deal with, you know. But
Hmm.
it is kind of scary. Like imagine just sleeping like you're like just hanging upside down from one leg just the entire night, like on a just like a rope, and
Yeah.
just getting a good night's
Upside
sleep like
down,
that.
too,
Yeah, yeah,
which is interesting as well.
it's very impressive
And
what spiders can do.
I feel like also it makes you think about, how their blood works. Because for us, if we're upside down, we got to
Yeah,
rush the blood to the head. But
yeah,
I
that's
suppose it's
true.
different with the open circulatory system that they have. So, not
Yeah,
really.
yeah, that might be because their heart's in their abdomen, so it would be pumping, but if yeah, it would go down. Um, it might just be because yeah, it's an open system. There's less like there aren't as many what am I trying to
Maybe,
say? The fluid fills up the entire inner space of the spider, so it's not like
yeah.
it can all pool in one place,
And
which I think happens with people.
yeah, I wonder if the restricted space between the cephalothorax and the abdomen like
Mm,
comes into play with regulating.
mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
when I was recently reviewing anatomy for the Atlas Obscura class that I'm teaching,
Oh yeah.
I read about how the skinny waist in Hymenoptera like really
Mm-hmm.
helps with regulating temperature in the body of
Huh.
wasps and other things like that. Because
Oh,
when they
interesting.
fly and their wings are pumping, like their
Mm-hmm.
abdomen can get really warm, and it's beneficial to be able to help manage the flow of hemolymph or the insect blood to the abdomen, because then you can constrict it to keep the heat in the thorax when it's colder out.
Oh,
Make
interesting.
it so that you can fly and before it gets while it's still cooler temperatures. Where if it was connected, it would take more
It would
energy
even out.
to warm up those muscles, because even
Yeah.
though insects are ectothermic, they don't create their own body
Mm-hmm.
heat like we do. They still generate heat from the muscle movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I wonder if there's anything there with the skinny wings
Yeah.
that spiders have.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. So yeah, if you've never seen, if like people watching have never seen a spider up close, they have like,
Hmm.
I mean, it's like a tiny little tube connecting their head and their abdomen. It is really, really small to the point where like it's really hard to distinguish. You can sometimes see it like in if they move their abdomen down a little bit, you can see it from above, but in most photos you can't. I don't know if you've got a good shot of something
I'm gonna look around and see if I can bring up.
that shows the pedicel, but it's like a tiny little tube, and like every connection between the head and the abdomen goes through there. So like their nerves, the gut, um, connections for fluid and stuff like that. Um, and yeah, I've never really thought about how that affects how their body moves, but it'd be or like how their internal stuff works.
You can't really see here, but you
Yeah.
can see how it is
Let
more
me.
restricted than the other parts of the body. This is a crab spider on a flower that I photographed in Colorado.
I'm gonna show you if I can look a photo up. But I know we had some questions in the chat while I like try to
Right.
find something good.
Yeah. So David asked, well, commented saying if they're not moving, I doubt bat sonar could distinguish them from a big leaf or hanging or similar. Yeah. And then also David said, never really thought about spiders or insects sleeping. Is it physiologically like how we sleep? And I don't know the answer to that, but it's something
Yeah.
that I don't know anybody off the top of my head who studies that in insects, but
I
it's
know some people
definitely
who
a topic that
study, I've
comes up.
heard of people who study like activity patterns,
Mhm.
like what, their sight, like wake and sleep or inactive cycles. The tricky part, right? Because we want to know, like, obviously when we sleep, our brain is like, we're dreaming, our brain's just kind of going, it's doing stuff. But it's really hard to measure that in spiders while they're asleep because
Mhm.
unlike people, you can't like put an electrode on a spider and measure it while it's doing nothing. You can stick an electrode in them, but the spider has to be completely restrained and they like don't live for too long afterwards because you have to
Mhm.
basically puncture their head.
Mhm.
So they wouldn't go to sleep, is what I'm saying. Um, so it's a really hard question that we don't, I think, have the technology yet to answer, as far as I know. Like what they are doing when they're sleeping. We know that they will power down and they'll just sit inactive for a long period of time and then wake up, as in like they start doing things again. But what's going on inside of them is really hard to figure out.
Mhm.
At least that's what I know. I don't know if you've heard other stuff
No, that's
different
something
from
that
that.
I would like to explore because I don't know much. Yeah.
Okay, well
Um,
I've got like this diagram, I guess, from biology of spiders that I can share.
sure.
So this little tube right there, that is the only connection between the head and the abdomen. And so everything in their body like has to go through there. And I'm like, it's kind of amazing. Like I'm always worried that it's gonna like break, because if you see it looks
Totally.
really delicate.
And
But
that
for
does
whatever
happen sometimes. That's why you have to make sure
oh,
that the ground tarantulas don't are not at risk at falling from a table or
oh
something like
yeah.
that because they're heavy and they're not meant to be.
Yeah, not meant to fall.
Yeah, they're not meant to fall. um,
There's a question. Is the banana spider poisonous? So banana spider is a term that's used to describe a lot of different species. Um, and I know there's an article that's pointed there that's linked.
yeah, I'm afraid to click the article because I don't know if it's going to open in a new tab
Okay, I
and
clicked
close.
it because I forgot to be afraid of that, but it did open in a new tab. So
Okay,
I'm
good
gonna
to
look and
know.
see if they give a species name.
Didn't want to end the
Um,
broadcast by accident.
yeah, that'd be kind of awkward. But yeah, it's really hard to say unless you know what species is being talked about here.
I think,
Uh,
yeah, I'm not familiar.
there's a couple of, so there's Nephila or Trichonephila, I guess now. The golden silk orb weavers are sometimes called banana spiders. I remember them being called that when I was in Florida.
Hmm.
And then there's a couple of, I think, wandering spiders, at least one of the wandering spiders that gets called a banana spider because sometimes it gets shipped around in banana
Yeah.
shipments.
Yeah.
Um, and I think also that might happen to one of the huntsmen, like one of the really widespread um like Heteropoda venatora or something, one of those like really ones that like are kind of
Hmm.
distributed everywhere because they get
Yeah.
shipped everywhere.
It
Um,
sounds like what Julia's talking about might be the wandering spider. Arañas errantes.
yeah,
Errante
that deputy
is referring
wandering.
to wandering. And that photo, I've seen that photo before in the thumbnail of the photo that Julia shared with us here on Haps. That I think is one of those famous viral photos of one of the wandering males rearing up somewhat
Uh,
defensively or aggressively. I'm not sure which in this case.
I know some of them, or maybe it's because the phone Turia. I'm trying to remember the genus name. There's one, yeah, Phonutria, I think, is might be one of the ones. Yeah, it looks like this, and they do have a um big old like warning display.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay, this is the same one in that photo. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
nice.
so they do have strong venom. Um, that is particularly like not great to get bitten by.
Hmm.
Um,
Not great.
it's not
Medically
great.
significant, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's if you leave the spider alone, it's not going to come at you. Um, and if you go to the doctor, you can get treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at different photos, but there are also other wandering spiders that don't have as strong venom that can be confused with this one, and I don't know all my wandering spiders very well. Um, which is why I was hoping they'd give like a species name, but it happens. Spiders move around. It's very rare if you consider like how many shipments of whatever gets shipped, every day.
Mm-hmm.
But they're out there. If you see a spider on some food, just leave it alone. Um, and it's not gonna come at you. It's just gonna try to hide, probably.
Mm-hmm. Um, I wanted to bring up this photo since we were talking about the underside of spiders earlier.
Oh,
So you can see the underside of a spider, which I don't remember the background of this photo that I took, but I'm guessing it was like a spider that I found upside down like this.
maybe it
Maybe
was paralyzed by a wasp.
that's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so,
So you can see those little, like, the bases of the legs kind of socketing in to the bottom of the abdomen. That's like the first segment of the leg there on each of them.
mhm, yeah. So that's all on the bottom side of the carapace or the
Hmm.
cephalothorax of the spider. Yeah. So we have 5 more minutes in the
Oh,
hour.
we're wrapping up.
Yeah,
Everything, it goes by so fast every time.
it does. And it's a lot of fun. Yeah. I wanted to mention earlier that I have these not a spider disclaimer, but here, let me move this. Do I have my macro lens? I do. I'll put my macro lens on the computer for viewing purposes. But I have this little. Oh, let me make me bigger too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I have this
Ooh,
little caterpillar here, which is from. It dropped down from the. Is my video choppy or is it just choppy
it's a
for me?
little choppy,
Darn. Okay. I'll
but
see
I
if I
see
can
that
hold it
I can
still.
see the caterpillar.
Right.
For
Hold it
some
very
reason,
still.
being close to it makes your camera sad. I
I
don't know why.
know. So I think I'm holding it still enough for now at least. But it's a spider. It's a caterpillar that dropped down on silk from the sweet gum
Hmm.
tree right outside of my house.
Oh,
And
cool.
I wanted to bring it up because these caterpillars will drop down from trees, sort of to protect themselves from being eaten by stink bugs or other things that are wandering around the leaves. So it
Oh, just
reminded
like that
me
jumping spider.
exactly. It reminded me of the jumping spider thing. So I wanted to mention that
Yeah, it's really
similarity.
interesting how you get these not like convergent evolution, where it's not just like the shape of the animal, um, you know, in different in similar habitats, different animals kind of often can evolve similar like body shapes, but also behaviors, right? Like you get an animal that's like has the silk in an arboreal setting where there are wandering predators, and you get this evolution of using that to drop down safely out of harm's way.
Hmm.
um yeah, I always find that really fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah, so it's interesting seeing the silk, one showing up convergently across different organisms, but then also being used in similar ways.
Yeah.
So
Are
now
there any insects that use silk for prey capture?
that's a great question.
Okay. Well, that's what Sebastian's going to find out in between now and the next one.
There we go. That's
Are
our
there any
fresh
honorary
homework for
spiders in
calendar.
the insect world?
It's a great question. Yeah. But with the last couple of minutes now, I want to post about the American Arachnology meeting that's coming up.
Yes, I was about to that was I was about to say that.
Excellent.
Perfect.
I don't have any picture to go with it, but I just posted it in the chat here on Haps. And so sign up. It's open to the public, $20 for a bunch of wonderful, like spider science, and really all,
Yeah.
not just spiders, because arachnology is a whole class of organisms.
Yeah, so this is the summer meeting of the American Arachnological Society. And like last year, we're doing it virtual. So we've created a really fun schedule of virtual events. I say we because I'm on the organizing committee. So I made sure that there's a lot of really cool stuff for both scientists and even if you're not an arachnologist, if you're a scientist or just enthusiast or you're just a member of the public who like is here because you like spiders, is why you're watching this. Um, there's a lot of great stuff for you. We've got workshops on how to find and collect arachnids for beginners and for more advanced people as well. Photography workshops. We're doing 2 movie screenings of these really cool movies about people and spiders. So we've got one on Friday on the first Friday of the conference. That's about peacock spiders, and then the following day we've got another one about this really rare cave spider, Tasmanian cave spider. Um, there's going to be a bio blitz, so an event where we all try to go out and catch and find as many spider arachnids as possible. And actually, Issa and I will be doing a live stream as part of that, where we'll be seeing what cool arachnids people find. Um, there's going to be public talks by science communicators. So if anyone has the book, one of my favorite arachnology books, Amazing Arachnids. We've got the author giving a talk
Mm,
at the conference, so Jillian Cowles is going to be there. This is a really beautiful book, by the way. If you haven't, if you want to learn about just like all types of arachnids, this will get you everything. It's great. And then there's science. So a lot of the cool
woohoo.
stuff that we talked about today were like all these new discoveries from researchers being like, oh, we found this cool thing. That there's just going to be that, like all of it, and a bunch of different topics. You can pick what you go to, and you can be on the cutting edge of spider science and like know about these cool things at the same time that we do.
And hear right from those scientists who are doing the research.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's $20 to attend. But if for
What a
any reason,
steal. What a steal.
yeah, that's $20 for everyone, whether or not you're a member. So you do not need to be a member of the Arachnology Society to join. And if you're in a financial position where like that is challenging for you and you still want to come, wonderful, because we do have donations to cover people for whom that is a prohibitive fee. And so everyone is invited, and please join us because it's going to be a blast. So this is June 24th through June 30th. It's like I said, a digital event, so you can tune in from wherever. You don't have to go to everything. You can go to the stuff that you like. Skip some days, yada. It's been a year. You know what a virtual conference is like. Everyone's done something like this by now, I'm sure, some sort of big digital event. But yeah, take a look. The link is in the chat. Issa posted that.
Right here in the chat. Yeah, so one more comment before we go is that next week's topic is going to be arachnology related because I'm bringing on Ashley Kennedy, who studies ticks, next
Oh,
week at
cool.
6 o'clock. And they're arachnids, right, Sebastian?
Yes, they are indeed arachnids.
Double check. I was pretty sure that they were, but I was like, are they their own
Yeah.
class?
Oh, yeah.
But no, they have the little chelicera,
Yeah.
right? That is
Yeah.
one of the
My
characteristics.
legs. You don't really see the head
it's buried in your body
they're
when
kind
you
of
find
fused with
them.
the
Just kidding.
abdomen, but they're arachnids.
Cool. Thanks for the super heart, David. Thanks everybody for joining. You have ticks on you every week, Blue Velvet. Awesome. Come have ticks on your screen, computer screen next.
Bring your
Tuesday.
ticks.
Bring your
Bring
ticks.
your ticks to live stream.
Or
send us pictures.
Send a picture of the ticks in advance, and we can see about bringing them on the broadcast as a photo to ask our expert Ashley, who works in with monitoring and checking out ticks next week when she's on.
Awesome.
So, cool. Thanks. Cheers, Sebastian. Thanks for joining us
thanks
again.
everybody.
Cheers, thanks everyone for
joining.
joining.
Wait. Okay, so we're on opposite sides now. So
yeah, wow,
you're
yeah.
there. Okay, wait. And okay. Ready?
Cheers.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers to spiders.
To spiders.
The last drop of my drink. Oh, and our next Sips and Spiders will be
I guess in a month or so.
That'll be the 15th.
Yeah, that sounds good.
The third Tuesday, so the 15th of June.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone, stop what you're doing, mark your calendar, set your alarm. We'll see you on the 15th of June.
Yeah. Cool. Bring all your spider questions.
Bring your spider questions. Watch the Spider-Verse.
Yes, I will. I will remember.
That's everybody's homework.
I might not. I will probably remember. It's a very good chance.
Probably remember.
Yeah. We will be doing an Into the Spider-Verse quiz. I'm gonna write that down on a Post-it right now so that I don't forget to make it. To make sure that people watched it.
Okay. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good evening. Go find a spider and appreciate it, and take a picture and send it to us for our next Sips and Spiders on June 15th.